Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, Mercedes-Benz is in the news. Folks over at Autocar caught up with Mercedes, one of the heads of Mercedes-Benz, over at the Paris Motor Show, and asked a question that's been on a lot of folks' minds, especially in the rumor mill that's been going around over the past several months, that Mercedes was going to make a big pitch, or maybe even quite possibly a hostile takeover for the folks over at Aston Martin. And the head of Mercedes-Benz, Dieter Zetsche, actually came out and said they have absolutely no plans on doing this to Aston Martin, or at least trying to take over the brand, which kind of brought a smile to my face, but maybe kind of didn't. I'm always a little bit worried about some of these smaller companies, especially like Aston, who build some of the most beautiful cars on the planet. And the fellow by the name of David Richards, who actually owns Aston Martin as of now, I'm always a little bit afraid that the money will finally run out and the car company won't make as much money as needed to actually try to develop it, move it into the future with new platforms and things like that. Now, the fact is that, now Aston now gets power plant supplies from the folks over at AMG, which is underneath the Daimler Mercedes umbrella, so that's a little bit good, but it still makes me a little nervous. We've seen a lot of car companies go up and down as far as being in bankruptcy and all this stuff. I would hate to see this in Aston Martin's hands, which kind of excited about maybe seeing Mercedes swallow them up, but a little bit afraid of what Mercedes may do to the company, may cannibalize it and then spit it out into nothingness. So this may be great news, may be bad news. We'll have to wait and see what comes of this in the future. Some weird, sad news, I guess you could say. The SRT GTS-R Viper racing program that just won the Tudor American Le Mans Series here in the United States won the championship only a handful of days ago. And in fact, only about a day and a half later, the folks over at SRT pulled the plug on this particular program. After winning two of the biggest championships in the country, there will be no SRT GTS-R Viper program, at least racing here in the States. Now, may have seen this coming as far as the fact that they didn't go to the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year, but it's still kind of a shocker, especially to the pair of jockeys for this particular machine that actually ended up winning the championship this year. That had to be a pretty huge blow to those folks, especially to the entire team, all those folks working on these race cars. Now, there's nothing to be said that they aren't going to help out some of the privately run Viper teams moving forward, but this really got the folks over at Car and Driver intrigued and thinking that quite possibly this may be the beginning of the end of not only the GTS-R, but quite possibly the GTS Viper and Viper altogether. They're actually promoting that this vehicle may be on its last leg, with all the sales problems that it had and the fact that SRT is no longer its own brand. That's actually now underneath the Dodge umbrella again. And the fact that this car hasn't sold very well, and they've had to really slash the price on this machine, try to get sales moving forward. So I hope that they're wrong in this particular situation, but they may have a point on their hands as well. So we're going to have to wait and see what comes of this. But boy, this could be really, really terrible. One of the biggest performance cars here in America to be dead would be a terrible thing. And last up on the list, well, this might have been the star of the Paris Motor Show over the past several weeks. This vehicle, maybe not the most attractive automobile, but the first go-round for maybe, or at least in a long, long time, over a 2+2, built by the folks at Lamborghini called the Asterion. Now, this particular vehicle was a hybrid drivetrain with very high horsepower and all-wheel drive. But apparently, as you do with a concept vehicle, you want to gauge public's reaction, which you would think would take maybe a couple, 3 weeks, maybe a couple, 3 months after this particular show was over. Well, it only took a handful of days, as the head of Lamborghini, Mr. Winkleman, actually came down and said they have no plans on building the Asterion, which means it will never enter production. Now, this being said, we've heard the head of Lamborghini actually come out and say that they had no plans on building a hybrid drivetrain vehicle at all in the future. And I'm wondering a little bit more if he may be talking a little bit more about the hybrid deal, and this car may live on, but not in hybrid drivetrain form. That being said, I didn't really care for the looks of this particular machine, so if they didn't build it, it wouldn't be no skin off my teeth. But that being said, it is the cover art for the Motorcars Enthusiast Facebook page. It would be a little bit weird that this vehicle may never ever see the light of day and may never ever be the cover art on the old Motorcars Facebook page. So, weird little time, and it was an interesting little situation. The folks over at Maxim Magazine actually got that particular interview with the folks over at Lamborghini. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this edition of Motorcars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. If you like us over there, we'd appreciate it. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.